Welcome to InciNotes. InciNotes is the first ICS 201 incident documentation system for Apple's iPad. InciNotes simplifies the required documentation ICS 201 process for all aspects of incident management. Today's InciNotes video is going to focus in on the weather feature of InciNotes. We're at the InciNotes home screen. I'm going to click on the crazy incident. I click on it and it brings up the operational snapshot screen. If you're not familiar with the operational snapshot screen, take a look at some of our other InciNotes overview videos on YouTube. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll up till I get to the middle of the screen, and you can see I'm at the weather reports in the middle of the screen. A little bit about weather reports. You'll see the most current weather readings in there. Temperature, dry bulb, wet bulb, dew point, wind speed and direction, and relative humidity. To the right of those readings, you'll see two buttons, a new report and a view reports button. I'm going to click on the new reports button, and it pops up a screen where you can get the weather. And I can get that by clicking on the location button up towards the top on the right hand side. I click on that. And what that did is it reached out to the internet to the closest RAS station and pulled the weather from the closest RAS station to me. And there's two ways to input the weather. You can pull it off a RAS station that's closest to you, or you can manually input it. Okay, so now we have some weather readings. So right below the wind direction, you'll see 4 categories related to fire behavior. And this is to get the incident commander thinking about what type of fire is he dealing with and where is it located on the aspect. So the first question is, which aspect is it on? Well, the crazy fire is on a south aspect, so I'll click on south. The slope is over 30%. We have over 8-foot flame lengths, and our fire behavior rate of spread is extreme. So I click on that. Okay, now I've entered that in there. And once I've entered that in there, I can click Done. And now that's recorded that into InciNotes, weather readings. So now what I'm going to do is click on the View Reports. And it pulls up the weather reports screen. At the top of the screen to the left, you'll see a Done button, which would take us back to the operational snapshot screen. To the right of weather reports, you'll see a little icon with a square and an arrow. If I click on that, that will allow us to send a spot weather forecast. I'll show you that in just a few minutes. And then to the right of that is a plus button. And if I click on that, which I'll do now, I click on it, it allows me to enter in a weather report again. Okay, for the purpose of this one, I'm going to use the same location, but I'm going to overwrite the conditions that were pulled off the RAS, and I'm going to put the actual condition at my location. In this case, it's clear. The temperature was actually 101 degrees. Our wet bulb reading was 68 degrees. And then in order to calculate the actual dew point in relative humidity, I go just to the right of the slider by relative humidity and click on the actual relative humidity that came from the RAS station. And then it pulls up this little pop-up window, the relative humidity window. And if I input the elevation in there, which is 1,500 feet where the fire is, and then I hit calculate, you can see it's calculated the relative humidity and dew point for me. Very easy. Then I click back on the screen and you'll see that little pop-up window disappears. So now we're back at our weather report screen, and I'm going to say we're at south again, over 30, over 8 foot flame lengths, and extreme fire behavior. And then when I click Done, it takes me back to the weather report screen. Okay, now let's go over the weather report screen a little more in depth. You have your existing weather reports, and if I click on any one of those, given by date and time, it will pull up my last readings that I took. So you can see those right under Report Data, right below there. And then below the existing weather reports and report data, you'll see 4 point charts, and you'll see 1 circular chart for wind direction. So in these charts, you have temperature, dew point, relative humidity, wind speed, and wind direction. These track trends for you. So this gives you a visual insight to, is your temperature trending up? Is your temperature trending down? What's your wind speed doing? Is it going up or down? What is the trend? And the same thing for relative humidity. Is it going up or down? And then with the wind direction, what is the prominent wind direction and speed? And that's what these little graphs do for you. Very simple way to get a visual look at what your weather's doing. Okay, so now that we got an understanding of the weather report screen, I'm going to show you how to actually send a spot weather forecast to the National Weather Service. We'll click on the icon with the little box with the arrow coming out of it, and it pops up a window, and it's got 2 choices that you can choose. Find the nearest Weather Service office, and if you click on that, it will find it for you, or if you know the one closest to you, you can pick it. For the purpose of this video, I'll let it find it for me. And it's searching, and it found that, hey, the closest National Weather Service office that does spot weather forecasts from where I am is Oxnard. Okay, so now I want to send the forecast. I click on it, and you'll see in the upper right hand corner it's spinning. Now it's reaching out and pulling your data into the spot weather forecast form, and it should pop it up fairly quickly. And let's say it seems like it's struggling a little bit and it's not pulling up the form. I can always cancel out and ask it to send it again, and we'll wait a little longer, and you can see it came up right away this time. Okay, it's very important to fill out all aspects of the spot weather forecast request, because if you don't fill out one of the information items that they're looking for, will send you an error message that, hey, it didn't go to the National Weather Service, your spot weather forecast. So we'll start under the project name, which is crazy, and we have a wildfire, so I'll click on wildfire. And then we'll move to the right, the requesting agency. I'm using Forest Service for the example here. Then you input your phone number where they can contact you. Put that in there, and if you have a fax number, go ahead and put the fax number in there. And then the person who's requesting the spot weather forecast that they can contact if there's a problem, or they have some information they want to share with you. Okay, so I'm inputting my name. Oh, a little misspelling there, so let's move back. Be sure to be accurate on this form. Now I've inputted my name. So now we go right below that, and it says reason for spot weather forecast. Well, the reason for the spot weather forecast is it's a wildfire, so I click on wildfire. Okay, and right below the reason for a spot weather forecast is the location. So all you have to do is click on Latin long, press down. It asks you, do you want to paste it in or your current location? I put the current location, and then right below it is the quad. So I click on the 7.5 quad That's the quad map that you're using for your weather. Click current location. It'll find the closest quad to me, which is Saticoy. And then right below that is the legal township, range, and section. If I click on that, again, it populates it with the township, range, and section very easily. Okay, to the right of that, it asks you what your fuel is. Well, in InciNotes, it fills that portion out for you. And then your elevation, the lowest part of your incident. So the lowest part of our incident is 500 feet. Correction, the top is 1,500 feet. And the lowest part is 500 feet, the bottom end. And the drainage that's closest to us is called Barranca. So I type in Barranca. That's in there now. Then I input aspect. And we're on the southwest aspect, so I put in southwest. The number of acres, we have 15 acres at this time. And we're unsheltered. Okay, so now I filled out all the information in the location and the fuel side of the form. Okay, right below that is the observations. And the critical thing here is it's not looking for a Latin long in the place name. It's looking for an actual place name, not the Latin long. So please put a place name in there. The place name where we're at is La Canada. Now you can see that. Now the easiest thing to do is, if the weather readings are all from the same place, click on it, select all, copy, and then paste it into your next window. That's the easiest way to populate that section of the form. As you can see, the copy and paste works nicely. Okay, then if you have any remarks, you want them to fax it to a certain number, or you want them to email the report, but the real easiest way is to go back to the National Weather Service's website, and when they're done preparing your spot weather forecast, they'll post it on the website. Okay, now I'm going to click off the keyboard. And at the bottom, you can see there's 3 buttons. There's a submit request, cancel request, clear form. Well, if I was to actually send it off, you would hit the submit request, and it will send it to the National Weather Service. And it's that simple to request a spot weather forecast through InciNotes. In a future version, you'll be able to retrieve the spot weather forecast directly through InciNotes. That will be in version 1.1. Okay, I'm going to cancel out of the spot weather forecast form. We're back in the weather report screen. I'm going to click done. We've requested our spot weather forecast. We're back at the operational snapshot screen. I'm going to click done. And now we're back at the InciNotes homepage. That's how simple it is to record and document your weather and request a spot weather forecast in InciNotes.